Okay, here we go. Go.
How many of you have ever been in an argument with your spouse or someone close to you because you thought they were doing something the wrong way or something like that? Because I have pretty much daily with my husband. But I've learned a way to minimize those arguments and fights with a communication technique called supportive communication. Well, at some point you all will probably experience that if you haven't already. Like I do every day when Gavin leaves his clothes and boots laying in the middle of the floor, and it drives me crazy. So, this communication technique will help the other person see why you do not like the way they are doing it, and it will do it in a way that they don't feel attacked or become defensive, and hopefully it will help you minimize arguments. So, after numerous fights with Gavin all over the clothes issue, I decided to do some research to find out a better way to communicate to him why this drives me so crazy, and a way to say it in that he doesn't become offensive and it ended a fight. So, to help you understand what I have learned, I will share what supportive communication is, some effects of supportive communication, examples of supportive and non-supportive messages, and how to apply that supportive communication to your relationship with others. So first we'll talk about what supportive communication is. According to Webster's Dictionary, support means to promote the interest of or to uphold or defend. And communication, according to Webster's Dictionary, means transmission of information, a verbal or written message. In the 2004 article of Defensive versus Supportive Communication, some critical differences, Lauren Eckroth, an expert speaker on conversation skills in Las Vegas, says that supportive communication is messages that are clear and specific statements without loaded words or judgmental cues. So now that we've defined what supportive communication is, let's talk about some of the effects of supportive communication. How it has affected mine and Gavin's relationship is that it has minimized some of the fights, not all of them, but some, in that when I confront him about them, I don't say, you need to do this, or blame him, or I say how it makes me feel. So in the 2009 edition of Supportive Interpersonal Communication as an Antecedent of Effective Management by Ashken Ehrman Can of the School of Business in the North-South University, says that the effects of a positive relationship are much stronger and more long-lasting than just making people happy or uplifted. Positive relationships help people feel safe and secure, so individuals are more able to concentrate on the task at hand. So think about how it makes you feel when someone confronts you about something you're doing wrong. How does that make you feel? In the 2004 article of Defensive versus Supportive Communication, some critical differences, Lauren Eckroth, an expert speaker on conversation skills in Las Vegas, says that we become defensive when we feel like someone is judging us or trying to control us. But a supportive climate encourages open and honest interaction, and a defensive climate leads to competitive and even destructive conflict. So, we have the opportunity to make our communication with others a smooth, supportive climate or a defensive climate by whether or not we're playing the blame game. So now that you know how supportive communication will affect the outcome of your discussions, let's talk about some examples of supportive and non-supportive communication. Some examples of non-supportive messages are, you're doing this wrong, or you're incompetent. Defensive messages use you language, which can make the other person feel attacked or cause them to become defensive. It uses negative language to describe their behavior, and it dwells on the negative results. It blames the individual for this and maybe other problems that may not even pertain to this issue. And it tells the other person that you need to fix this, or you should do this. Whereas a supportive message are some examples of those are, when you do this, it makes me feel like, or we need to work on this together. Supportive messages use I language, which takes ownership of your feelings and your perceptions of the situation. It gives several possibilities of why the behavior occurs, and it asks the other person for them to understand why the behavior is occurring. It also expresses empathy, and it sticks to the topic at hand, and it also suggests coming up with a solution to the issue together. So now that we've talked about some of the examples of both types of communication, let's look at ways we can put supportive communication into action. According to University Health Services, How to Have Supportive and Respectful Communication Among Friends, Classmates, and Coworkers, it says, treat each person as an individual. A good place to begin discussion is not to make assumptions about where someone stands. Let the individual tell you where they stand. They also say to be gentle with yourself and others. Gentleness includes respecting our differences, and encourage people to slow down, to honor the differences that enable our ideas to be both genuinely considered. In the 1998 Principles of Supportive Communication paper, Addison Wesley says that supportive communication is owned, not disowned. Using first-person words like I, me, my, mine, indicates owning the communication. She also states that supportive communication requires listening. It's not a one-way message delivery. In Dieter L's article on supportive communication, he suggests using could instead of should, because should implies guilt, and making someone feel guilty is not supportive communication. He also talks about how important partnership communication is, which I think is the most important of all. He states, please support your partner by communicating your support. If you communicate point scoring, arguing all the time, you have no partnership. It's like one person against the other, and it always equals 0. So supporting each other equals at least 2. If you do this, your partnership will result in a lifestyle that you could have never achieved by yourself. So today I've helped you understand what supportive communication is, some of the effects of supportive communication, a few examples of non-supportive and supportive messages, and some of the ways you can apply supportive communication in your everyday lives and your relationships. So one day you're going to come across an issue where someone does something that you don't like, quite possibly today, and you'll have a few techniques to hopefully avoid arguments or fights with them. And I can't promise you that people will always do it the way you see fit, but hopefully now you'll be able to confront them without it ending in an argument. Thanks.
That shows the amount of people.